Disclaimer for this video right at the start. I am not talking about laws in your area. I am not giving you legal advice, and I am not encouraging in any form for you to seek out methods or opportunities to enact violence. But this is a serious topic that I might have some fun with and make some jokes. And so just be aware that this is a fun, educational thing, and do more research on your own. In the future, I will be doing stuff on law, but for now, I'm just having fun with it. So today I'm talking about weapons. And I'm going to start off with ones I myself have access to, and what I use them for and why. So to start off, I've got this little puppy. Now this I actually use on a very regular basis for all kinds of menial tasks. It makes perfect sense for me to carry it, whether I'm expecting something bad to happen or not. It's perfectly legal in most places, as far as I know. It's a fixed blade of, 5 inches or less, so it should be good in most places. And, it's usually enough that if someone has, coming at you with no weapon, it's usually enough to just have this, and they will usually leave you alone if they can tell that you will use it if you have to. Now, people see that I have to lift my shirt and get to it. Well, the trick behind that is you make space and you come back, right? So just because it takes me a second to get it out doesn't mean it's not going to work in a real life scenario. So yeah, and also, it's really easy and fun to just mess around with all kinds of dumb motions, because the more chaotic and ridiculous it is, the more effective, actually. You could be a cold-blooded technician, but that takes years. You could just, and it works. Alright, so moving on. Got this little thing. A lot of people understand what I'm going for already. It's a fist pack. Now usually I put the spark on this side because that gap fits a little better with the pinky, and it makes this knuckle stick the way it's supposed to. So it adds a little bit of, a little bit of weight to your hand for extra kinetic transfer, and it makes it so that your fists can grip tighter and, work for longer without over squeezing and getting to the point where you're going to hurt your hand or your fingers digging into your skin. Obviously legal, and bring that pretty much wherever, and super effective in a lot of cases. But now, so if someone else has a weapon, something like this does the trick. Now, you might even want a smaller one than this, but this is like an average, middle school, high school, junior size, I think. And this thing works wonders. Because if they've got a blade, even if they've got a full-ass sword, this thing will probably beat it, right? You just gotta be focusing on lighting fast instead of trying to wham, because it's hard, it's tough. It's gonna do the damage for you. But the thing is, this is usually for home defense, because when are you really gonna be carrying it around? Like, yeah, you might have it in your car, and that's okay in most places, but you're not gonna really carry it on you unless you're going to play baseball. And I know some people will say, just carry a glove and a ball on you. If you're not a baseball player, it's not going to hold up in court. Don't do that. That's stupid. But really easy to practice with, light and loose. Use it all kinds of ways. You can deal with a lot of different things this way, especially if you hold it like this and you just kind of keep it out there. No one's going to want to walk into that. So yeah, really good for genuine defense. Now you can haul ass and whoop somebody with this, but that's one of the few times running away is easy. When you're running from a bat, they can't run and hit you with it. So it's defense, not for offense. And now this little puppy I've had for a few years now. It's got the bone cutter for fish and small hunting, and it's got the little line cutter for fishing. This thing is actually meant for outdoorsmanship. Short fishing trips, or maybe medium length fishing trips, when you gotta put a little bit of work in yourself and you're gonna have to. Carry it on my hip, As far as I know, it's legal in a lot of places. I don't know. Like I said, you're gonna have to check for yourself. But where I came from, it was legal for me to just carry it on me. It's a tool, especially because I was a camper and I camped out in the woods. It was perfectly reasonable for me to have one of these at all times. And the beauty of it is not how effective it is, because it is deadly effective in combat, because this puppy is pretty thick. I can slap someone with it, and it's not going to break even if I hit their skull. It's pretty effective, but I would never want to use this for combat because it's just so gruesome. Like, what kind of psycho actually cuts someone up with this? So, what I would always do is I would use it as a deterrent. This is how I avoid combat. If I really don't want to be involved in it, I pull this puppy out because no one wants to get cut by that. And usually just me having it on my hip at all is enough for people to just never approach me in the first place. So yeah, and it's real light, real easy to use. It weighs about 2 pounds, maybe. And yeah, it's pretty comfortable once you get used to it. You just gotta, that's what these little holes are for. You can attach another layer of string, tie it around your legs, so that way it won't swing so much. It attaches here. Pretty cool little thing. And then this puppy is actually really only for Halloween costumes. Not even home defense, but I mean, it is black. It's all black, so you could be kind of stealthy with it, I suppose, in your own home. But again, it's just too gruesome and too effective. That's why I haven't even sharpened it. This is technically a machete for heavy vines and thin wood, but I haven't even sharpened it because what kind of psycho does that? This will already cut someone the way it is, and I hope that that'll never happen. But if I have to use it in the last chance thing and I have nothing else available, I guess I'll try. But I'd really rather not, and if I were, I'd probably turn it backwards so it's less cutting, it'll still hurt like a bitch, but like I said, a big part of choosing your weapons, it's not about eviscerating your opponent, it's about being a realistic, humble human being, having some empathy, but what I will do with this is, if someone's being a nuisance or a bully and they're, trying to act all tough or hard or endanger people and make them scared, I should pull it back out. What I'll do is I'll just pull it out in public, because you're legally allowed to have it. I'm just not allowed to be intimidating and all that shit. So what I'll do is I'll just slowly work on moving it around, and I'll make it look like I'm just doing some kung fu shit where it looks like I'm just doing the slow part, because it makes them wonder, how fast can it go? Because if I show them all fast and chaotic, they're going to be like, oh, well, I could probably prepare for that, and they'd be right. But if I go all slow, and I'm just kind of chilling with it, maybe spin it, then it gives them this idea that I'm like this kung fu master with this big ass blade, and it terrifies them, so they avoid the conflict, much like the one with my smaller machete I showed you. Now, when it comes to facing someone else who has a large effective weapon, this is going to get me killed on defense or offense. It's slow, it's clunky, it's not very effective, but it's fun. I'm going to definitely use it for my Halloween costume again. And now this, they say, never pull a gun unless you're willing to pull the trigger. You can pull the trigger on this as many times as you want and it won't hurt anybody. Looks real, looks dirty, looks real, has all the right functions, has the safety, I forget what you call this, the shaft release or whatever this bullshit is. See, I don't know much about guns, I gotta get into it, but this was me accidentally firing a shot to check it before I brought it over. I should have just cocked it back to check, but almost deafened myself. And yeah, you see where it popped right here. It's just these little bullets. They're little blanks that make a lot of noise. Now, an experienced person who knows a lot about guns, it probably won't fall for it. But if some burglar is in your home and you just start blasting it at close range, it's going to ring in their ears, and so they're not going to know. They're just going to panic and run. But I would never bring that out and about with me. That's asking to get fucked up, because there's a good chance they find out it's not a real gun. Or not a good chance, but there's a chance. So yeah, those are all the current weapons and stuff I have on me, but I want to get more. Like, I want to make my own custom gloves that have padding and studs on it in certain areas so that it can protect my hands while adding to my hand-to-hand combat. You know, low-key kind of Batman stuff, but not going psycho with it. Just logically trying to be prepared for the minimally realistic events. So yeah, that's just my collection and my stuff. I used to have a lot more. I've got more I can't find, but I'll talk about that in the future.